But it is what it is what it is. YouTube, you know what it is. Chipotle Boots, Blue Squad. Let's kick it. All right, man. Let's get into this video. Hey, remember. This video is very controversial. I only put maybe a couple seconds of music in the whole thing. The only reason I did that is because if you want to know about the music, look up the songs, because I'm really not going to put it on here because they are very, very, very rich. Like I said, I didn't even say anything. I let the narrator do it. It's narrated by a word. When I do these videos, they're going to be narrated by a word. That way, I can submit the small talk because I like to ramble, and that's why I did it this way. I'm trying something new, so check it out.
As rap performers, the members of the Two Live crew have been responsible for some of the hottest titles in the history of rap music. They have earned 1 double platinum album, 2 platinum albums, 2 gold albums, 3 chart-topping singles and sales of over 10 million units. The Two Live crew also had single tracks included on the New Jack City, Boys in the Hood, and Friday soundtracks. Be warned, this video was and is made with explicit content. You have been warned. The Two Live crew is notorious for being First Amendment poster boys. The group the target of attacks from ring-wing groups like the Parents Music Resource Center, which slammed them as obscene. The group feels that those critics totally missed the point of what the Two Live crew music is all about. Group members Brother Marquis and Fresh Kid Ice states, "We make party music." Politicians playing games, bringing us down to boost their fame. They must be joking, thinking we will. The Two Live crew began in the 80s on March Air Force Base in California. The group later moved to Miami, where they hooked up with Luther Campbell, a cook-turned-concert promoter. He later became the group's hype man. The original lineup split apart in 1992, citing irreconcilable differences. The Two Live crew, although seen as a main fixture in the Miami hip-hop scene, actually got their start in and was created by DJ Mr. Mix, David Hobbs, with fellow rappers Fresh Kid Ice, Chris Wong One, and Amazing V, Yuri Violet. The group released its first single, Revelation, on its own label Fresh Beat Records in 1984. The A-side of Revelation contained a song where the only rapper featured was Amazing V. The B-side contained a song named Two Live where Fresh Kid Ice was the only rapper featured. Revelation was popular in Florida. Luke Skywalker, also known as Luther Campbell, who at the time was a local DJ and promoter, invited the Two Live crew to relocate to Miami. Also, due to the subsequent success of Two Live crew, this made Fresh Kid Ice the first rapper to be noted in Asian American hip-hop, and the first Asian rapper to gain notoriety. For their second single, What I Like, 1985, Fresh Kid Ice was the only rapper featured. Amazing V was only credited as writer, and left the group shortly after. The single Throw the D, released in January 1986, was a permanent blueprint for future Miami-based songs. Wong One said that the song came about when they noticed a new popular dance in Miami called Throwing the Dick when the Herman Kelly and Life's song Dance to the Drummer's Beat played. The dance consisted of men throwing their hips back and forth, while the girls would squat with their hands on their knees, bend over, and shake their butt. Wong One suggested to Mr. Mix that they should adapt the hook, and they scratched it into the song. Wong One felt his voice was too high-pitched for the hook, so Mr. Mix, who came up with the pattern, did it using an emulator. Wong One wrote the lyrics in 20 minutes on a plane ride. Finally, they booked a 16-track studio to record it.
Don't keep thinking that we will quit, we'll always stand and never sit. We're too loud, too black, too strong, doing the right thing and not the wrong. So
Rapper brother Mark Ross, joined the 2 Live crew. Luke Skywalker, Luther Campbell, gave the 2 Live crew a record deal and worked as the group's manager. He also joined the group as its hype man and spokesperson in their subsequent controversies. What is a hype man? A hype man is a performer who works with hip-hop artists and rappers to keep the audience engaged and excited during a performance.
the First Amendment gave us freedom of speech. So what you're saying, it didn't include me? I like the part.
The 2 Live Crew's debut album, The 2 Live Crew Is What We Are, was released in 1986. Alex Henderson of AllMusic commented that the album did take sexually explicit rap lyrics to a new level of nastiness, with tracks such as We Want Some Pussy and Throw the D. With word-of-mouth attention, the album was certified gold by the Recording Industry Association of America, RIAA. Bob Rosenberg of Will to Power remixed Beatbox, originally released as 2 Live, and was billed King of Edits by Luke Skywalker. In 1987, a Florida store clerk was acquitted of felony charges for selling the album to a 14-year-old girl.
And have a good time. There's nothing but pleasure in our rhymes. I know you don't think we'll ever quit. We got some.
In 1988, the group released their second album, Move Somethin'. It was certified gold and featured the singles Move Somethin' and Do Wah Diddy Diddy. The album improved on the charts from the previous album, making into number 68 on the Billboard 200 and number 20 on the top R&B/hip-hop albums chart.
People on the side won't take your lip. We're gonna do all the things we wanna do. You can't stand to see a brother get as rich as you.
Campbell decided to sell a separate clean version in addition to the explicit version of the album, Move Somethin', 1988, produced by Mr. Mix. A record store clerk in Alexander City, Alabama, was cited for selling a copy to an undercover police officer in 1988. It was the first time in the United States that a record store owner was held liable for obscenity over music, though the store was eventually acquitted.
This is the 90s and we're coming on strong, saying things and doing things that you're saying's wrong. Rising up, cause
In 1989, the group released their third album, As Nasty as They Wanna Be, which also became the group's most successful album. A large part of its success was due to the single Me So Horny, which was popular locally with heavy radio rotation on Miami's WPOW Power 96 FM. The American Family Association, AFA, did not think the presence of a parental advisory sticker was enough to adequately warn listeners of what was inside the case. Citation needed. Jack Thompson, a lawyer affiliated with the AFA, met with Florida Governor Bob Martinez and convinced him to look into the album to see if it met the legal classification of obscenity. In 1990, action was taken at the local level and Nick Navarro, Broward County Sheriff, received a ruling from County Circuit Court Judge Mel Grossman that probable cause for obscenity violations existed. In response, Luther Campbell maintained that people should focus on issues relating to hunger and poverty rather than on the lyrical content of their music. Navarro warned record store owners that selling the album might be prosecutable. 2 Live Crew then filed a suit against Navarro. That June, U.S. District Court Judge Jose Gonzalez ruled the album obscene and illegal to sell. Charles Freeman, a local retailer, was arrested 2 days later, after selling a copy to an undercover police officer. This was followed by the arrest of 3 members of 2 Live Crew after they performed the As Nasty as They Wanna Be album at Club Futura in Hollywood, Florida, hosted by radio personality Tony the Tiger, Ira Wolf, from Power 96 FM, one of the few radio stations in the U.S. that continued airplay while the trial ensued. After international exposure with support from freedom of speech advocates like Screw Magazine's Al Goldstein, who owned a house in Broward County, and many others, they were acquitted soon after, as Professor Henry Louis Gates, Jr. testified at their trial in defense of their lyrics. Freeman's conviction was overturned on appeal as well. A lot of people have gotten the impression that I'm this rude, sexual deviant, or something, Campbell told journalist Chuck Phillips. But contrary to what has been printed about me in the papers, I'm no moral threat to anybody. I'm just a hard-working guy marketing a new product. The crew parroted Roy Orbison's "Oh, Pretty Woman on the album As Clean as They Wanna Be. The copyright owners of the original song brought a lawsuit in 1990 claiming copyright infringement. In 1994, the United States Supreme Court unanimously adopted a rule from an earlier Ninth Circuit case involving Rick Dees, and ruled that the Two Live Crew's parody was fair use, and thus did not infringe. Campbell v. Uhf Rose Music Incorporated, 510 U.S. 569, 1994, was a United States Supreme Court copyright law case that established that a commercial parody can qualify as fair use. This case established that the fact that money is made by a work does not make it impossible for fair use to apply, it is merely one of the components of a fair use analysis. What is a parody? A parody is a creative work designed to imitate, comment on, and slash or mock its subject by means of satirical or ironic imitation. Often its subject is an original work or some aspect of it, theme/content, author, style, etc., but a parody can also be about a real-life person, e.g. a politician, event, or movement, e.g. the French Revolution or 1960s counterculture. Literary scholar Professor Simon Denteith defines parody as any cultural practice which provides a relatively polemical elusive imitation of another cultural production or practice. The literary theorist Linda Hutchins said parody is imitation, not always at the expense of the parodied text. Parody may be found in art or culture, including literature, music, theater, television and film, animation, and gaming. Some parody is practiced in theater. In 1992, the United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit overturned the obscenity ruling from Judge Gonzalez, and the Supreme Court of the United States refused to hear Broward County's appeal. As in the Freeman case, Gates testified on behalf of Two Live Crew, arguing that the material that the county alleged was profane actually had important roots in African American vernacular, games, and literary traditions and should be protected. José Alejandro González Jr., born November 26, 1931, is a senior United States District Judge of the United States District Court for the Southern District of Florida. As a result of the controversy, sales of As Nasty as They Wanna Be remained brisk, selling over 2 million copies. It peaked at number 29 on the Billboard 200 and number 3 on the top R&B/hip-hop albums chart. A few other retailers were later arrested for selling it as well, including Canadian Mark Emery, who was convicted in Ontario in 1991, and later gained fame as a marijuana activist. Later, hard rock band Van Halen sued the group over an uncleared sample of their song Ain't Talkin' 'Bout Love in the Two Live Crew song The Fuck Shop. The publicity then continued when George Lucas, owner of the Star Wars universe, successfully sued Campbell for appropriating the name Skywalker for his record label, Luke Skywalker Records. Campbell changed his stage name to Luke, and changed the record label's name to Luke Records, and the group released an extremely political follow-up album, Banned in the U.S.A. after obtaining permission to use an interpolation of Bruce Springsteen's Born in the U.S.A. Banned in the USA was the group's fourth album. It was originally credited as Luke's solo album. The certified gold album included the hits Do the Bart and the title track. It was also the first release to bear the RIAA standard parental advisory warning sticker. The eponymous title single is a reference to the decision in a court case that its album, As Nasty as They Wanna Be, was obscene. The decision was overturned on appeal. Displeased over the decision of Florida Governor Bob Martinez, who, upon being asked to examine the album, decided it was obscene and recommended local law enforcement take action against it, and over the subsequent action of Broward County, Florida, Sheriff Nick Navarro, who arrested local record store owners on obscenity charges for selling the group's albums, and the subsequent arrest of members of the group on obscenity charges. The group included the song Fuck Martinez, which also includes multiple repetitions of the phrase, Fuck Navarro. The group found 2 other men with the same names, and had them sign releases, as they thought that this action would make it impossible for Martinez or Navarro to sue them. Live in Concert, 1990, was their 5th album. This was Two Live Crew's first and only live album, and was also the only Two Live Crew release under the Effect subsidiary label of Luke Records, a move that was deemed necessary for the company to be able to release additional 2 live crew material outside of their distribution deal with Atlantic Records, which was signed in 1990, the same year they released Band in the USA. Sports Weekend, As Nasty as They Wanna Be, PT2 was their 6th album. Released in 1991, it is the sequel of As Nasty as They Wanna Be. A clean version was released later that same year titled, Sports Weekend, As Clean as They Wanna Be Part 2. This was the last studio album by all original members of the 2 live crew. It contains the successful single Pop That Pussy. The album was certified a gold record.
All right. So what do y'all think of the video? Leave a comment below what you think. And also, I want y'all to know, I could have put all the music in there, but I really, to be honest with you, this controversy is the beginning. This is the group that actually had that whole thing written up. Now, mind you, the next video that I do in this sequence is going to be a rock group that we're going to talk about, because the front man for that rock group actually went to court over that whole thing and went to Congress and Senate and everything else to fight. They fought to keep this out of court. They fought to keep that explicit lyrics thing off albums. And now let me explain something to you. It wasn't just rap that got hit. It was rock and roll that had to put those on there too. And I'm not just talking for having music that said the F word, or S word, or B word. I'm talking they had to have it on there because of their artwork. Not just their cussing in the music. Not just that. It had to do with the artwork too. So, yeah. So be on the lookout for that, because we're going to discuss that. And then I'm going to show you examples of artwork before this happened and let you see what I'm talking about. I'm going to pull up album covers everywhere, and I'm just going to let album covers fly up. And we're going to do a whole video on album covers. But I want y'all to see this because this is very important. This is what decides what rap is all about. This right here is the controversy that started. NWA didn't even come in the picture yet. Well, they did. They were in the picture a little bit, but this was all on Luke Skywalker. And this all started before 1986 when NWA kicked off. So this is way before NWA's first album. So you know that that's where the explicit lyrics came from. It didn't come from NWA and Gangsta Rap. It came from 2 Live Crew talking about fucking pussy. That's it. That's all I'm going to say about it, because that's the honest truth. They just talk about sex. They didn't talk about drugs. They didn't talk about alcohol. They talked about sex. That was it. That's all their albums are about. If you ever watch it, if you ever seen their videos, you'll see them as clean as they want to be, but you won't see the dirty version unless you look on YouTube. I'm not showing no videos of that either. I just wanted to break this down. Now, as a DJ, would you play this at a gig? Would you play any of this at a gig? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if it was kids, I wouldn't. But if it's an adult show, if it is an adult class, and they ask for the song, I'm going to play it. Because one more note before I quit. I was in high school. Actually, I was a freshman in high school. I got a whole, I used to work at, actually, it was I was a freshman. I used to work at the grocery store. And there was a bootlegger that was there at the grocery store, and I got a copy of the Fuck Martinez, the album that Fuck Martinez was on. I played that song, right? That song got me in a lot of trouble. It got me in a lot of trouble. I would take a bath in this huge bathtub because they didn't have showers. Well, they did have a shower. We had a shower in the house, but I didn't like showers. I liked the tub, soak in the tub. We had a big old claw foot cast iron um, tub in the house. And if you're familiar with that, they're cast iron tubs. They're huge. They're heavy. And inside they have whatchamacallit, I forgot the name of it. But anyway, inside they're not just cast iron. So if you're all familiar with those kind of tubs, they had the claws on the bottom. So I would take a bath before going to school, and I remember playing that song and got in trouble. I got out of the shower, out of the tub, and my parents called telling me to turn the music down because the neighbor complained. And the neighbor across the street complained, not the neighbor next to me. Yeah, neighbor across the street complained, saying I was listening to a song with vulgar language. Fucking Martinez, man, got me in trouble. Anyways, I just thought I'd lay that little note down, take it, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and ring that bell for notifications for videos like this, a couple of others. Smash that like dealie. Check out these two videos right here, and